Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Minimal Mixed Media. Make sure you check out the playlist down below if you've missed any episodes so far. Today I'm doing a fun stenciling technique featuring this Brea Reese modeling paste as well as another texture medium which I'll show you in a little bit. But I am using my How to Kill a Kit with Style for the month of September. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll have that playlist linked down below so you can see the kit share and everything I've made so far. But this video is actually filmed during my scrap party weekend for my lovely patrons to celebrate my 2-year Patreon anniversary, and we had such a blast cropping together. So I do apologize if I do some weird things with my hands. I was video chatting at the same time, so it might seem a little bit odd, but it made sense at the time. So I do have two pastes here. I have the Shimmers one, which is this marshmallow type of color. And then I have the Brea Reese one, which is a little thicker of a medium, whereas the left one's a creamier medium. So what's really fun about this technique is I'm going to try to create this ombre effect, and it sort of creates a marbling instead, which I also really loved, but essentially doing half and half and then taking the lighter medium, essentially the creamy one in this case from Shimmers products, and blending them together. Really cool technique, and you can do this with numerous products. I got inspired to do this type of idea from my friend Sandy Reversky. I'll have her channel linked down below because she did this awesome rainbow project with this sort of idea of just going down the page with different colors. So I really like how the marbleization turned out, and when it comes to mixed media, guys, don't be afraid to mess up and don't be afraid to cover it up. There's always the option to cover it up later. And here's a little close-up of that. And I definitely get a lot of questions about stenciling, especially since I do that out of the most for the mixed media types and techniques. And I will say you don't need to have too much pressure or too much product to pull off a great stencil. It really does depend what type of product you're using to get that kind of look. While I let the mixed media dry, I decided to move on and do some stamping. Now, I included these cork sheets in my kit this month and have not touched them yet. So I pulled out my Versamark black ink and these Heidi Swap stamps, which I've had for a few months now and haven't touched. And they're this nice travel theme. And I didn't point it out earlier, but the photo I'm scrapbooking looks like it's just a photo of me, but it's actually from a trip to DC. So I end up stamping this cute little hexagon that says Adventure Awaits, a cute little postage card that says London, which I end up covering up the London part so it makes more sense, and then a little geotag on top of some cork. And again, really simple way to add in some cork and use your stamps at the same time. And this is really thin cork, so it makes it super easy to trim out with any type of scissors. And I just use these beautiful Cutter Bee scissors. I adore these for quick cutting. I do plan on getting another set of fussy cutting scissors because these ones definitely hurt my hands over time, but I was looking forward to trying these out on these really small shapes that I stamped. And one thing you do need to be careful of when you're working with cork is it is very fragile. So I actually end up ripping it by accident when I go to glue them down. It doesn't really show up well on video, but I accidentally rip it by putting one thumb on top where the glue was and trying to pull off my glue runner. So be really cautious with your cork, especially if you're using thin sheets like these ones that are meant for like die cutting and things like that. So now that my mixed media is dry, I end up bringing out my trimmer and trimming off the excess pull piece where the branding strip normally would go, but this is from a paper pad from DCWV. And then I start matting my photo. So these papers are scraps from the watering can paper pad, again, part of my September kit. And I really like that they're subtle gold in the first layer, and then the second layer ends up being this nice floral. And like I said, this was made for my Patreon crop party, and if you guys haven't heard of that, essentially I was celebrating my 2-year Patreon anniversary with a huge online crop with challenges and prizes and all that fun stuff. And this was for a challenge I created called Floral Frenzy, so using all the florals in any way, shape, or form. So I wanted to pull out this Tim Holtz botanical set, which of course worked really well, and I did that floral pattern paper layer. It all just ended up working out really well, and I'm super happy with it. So here I have a tag on the right hand side of my photo, and this is also from that same Heidi Swap set, which is actually from her memory line, which I didn't actually buy anything except the embellishment packs for. So it's definitely interesting how you can use things how they weren't originally intended to be used, but still use them for your pages. And I thread that tag, which will be my journaling spot, with some black twine. And I really like how that looks. It adds some more contrast because of the dark background. And another thing in terms of mixed media, don't be afraid to do color mixing to use mixed media on a darker background or a lighter background. You can make all sorts of colors with modeling pastes and paints and just mixing them together. And here I even created a custom look with that ombre effect. And I super love how it came out, and hopefully you guys could pull that off with mediums you already have in your stash, whether it's white modeling paste that you have plus some acrylic paint, you know, just mixing them together to create two colors and then put through a stencil or directly onto your page. There's lots and lots of options to pull this off. But as I create my layers, I was realizing I was missing something very important to me on this layout, which was washi tape. So I pull out a measuring tape washi tape, which is definitely one of my favorite vintage styles. And since the mixed media sort of ends in this upper corner, I decided to create a cluster up here as well. And at this point, I'm not 100% sure what my full title will be. Obviously, you know that from the title of this video, but at this point, I wasn't sure where it would go or what it would be. So I'm just kind of taking it easy in terms of the white space here and how I might want to fill that later. But since we have a nice busy background with that script look, it helps really reduce the feeling of white space and has a fulfilling effect. Here's where I keep working with all of those bits and pieces from the Tim Holtz ephemera set, and I did a full layer of them on the left-hand side, and I'm tucking some in on the right-hand side, again to get some more florals in there. And these florals that I picked out in particular have that deep maroon burgundy color that's in the modeling paste that I used for the background, so I really enjoyed that kind of comparison and kind of bringing in that color in other ways. I also tucked in some of my beautiful cork pieces, one on top of the photo, one to the left side of the photo, and one to the top right. I really like how it looks with cork and this sort of distressed vintage look. I just think it generally goes, and it's something I've used throughout my Washington, D.C. album is cork and vintage and florals, and especially this washi tape. And I don't think I mentioned it before, but this background stencil was actually from a random home decor set in the painting aisle of Michael's. So don't be afraid to look outside of your normal crafting arena to find things that you can use. I know mixed media can be used in several different ways, but in terms of scrapbooking, you can find so many things in the paint aisle or in the, you know, artist aisle with the fancy markers and the paints and the pastes. So definitely check that out next time you're at the store if you're looking to get into some mixed media. But there's also mixed media specifically for scrapbookers, so it's really up to you with what you want to dabble in, but I am sure you have something in your stash currently that you could do this type of technique for, whether it's just straight acrylic paints onto the background in an ombre effect, or you have two different colored modeling pastes, or you have a modeling paste that you can color with something else. Lots and lots of different options. But as I'm gluing this down, I kind of see the way I could take the title here and put it underneath my photo. And these little banner pieces are from the crepe paper chipboard set that's in my kit this month. And I really like that I could finally use these banners. I normally struggle a ton to use banners. I find them very difficult to use sometimes. So the fact that I could put this one down really simply and, you know, with a smiling photo of myself helped capture the moment beautifully. So as I was working on the top cluster, I thought it was a little dull in terms of color, so I started auditioning some other pieces, and I put that butterfly sort of in the middle to kind of give it this sort of pointed look up to the extra piece up there, just so you can kind of emphasize that cluster because it does seem like it's out on its own, but in person you can see how the modeling paste sort of reaches out to grab it and grounds it to the layout. It doesn't seem as floaty as it does here. But to finalize this page, I end up going through my sticker book just to see if there's any more gold bits I wanted to bring in, any phrase stickers I might want, because you guys know sticker books are my jam. I love them for little touches. I end up bringing in this green color, which was kind of left field, but there were some green tones in the florals. But since I did bring in this brighter green, I wanted to make sure I could balance that with a few other pieces. So I look for a little label to bring in to add additional pop of green. I look for like the hearts and the little bits. I end up adding this Grateful Heart sticker, again, a little bit more gold foil to coordinate with the chipboard gold buttons and the Heidi Swap ephemera that has some gold in it, just kind of tying it all together. And lastly, another bright green piece for that phrase sticker down to the bottom left. And to add some additional finishing touches, I'm using this Oyster Nouveau Drop Jewel Nouveau Drop. I am not a Nouveau Drop expert. Definitely check out Scrapping Amy for anything Nouveau Drop related. She's going to help me pick out some more colors now that I am addicted to them. But here are the close-ups. I hope you guys enjoyed this layout. Don't forget to check out all of the links down below, including educational resources for how you can get involved to help make the world a better place. And again, I really like this photo and really like the vintage vibe, so without going too crazy on vintage. And again, the ombre look you can see really here in the up close photo. So we have that dark burgundy at the bottom, then it turns into this light magenta color up top. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!